This is the Tallahassee Business Podcast. Over the next few weeks, our mission is to bring you interviews with key leaders and community members with information you can use while we work together to navigate the impacts of the COVID-19 coronavirus. The Tallahassee Business Podcast is presented by the 223 Agency, a digital relations firm.
Hey there, Tallahassee. Jay Revel here. Welcome to another edition of the Tallahassee Business Podcast. We are delighted to have you listening in with us today for another in our series of special edition episodes we've been bringing you since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, and its effects here in our community have been significant, particularly to businesses. And of all the industries that have been impacted, I think it's fair to say that our hospitality industry has been one of the most severe. They have seen all kinds of issues that they've had to come up against, in particular with their workforce and not being able to be open. And we're starting to see some signs of life, though, folks. It's a good thing. We've got some great hoteliers. Today, we're going to be talking about that part of the hospitality industry. But we've got some great properties here in our community that are starting to open their doors again. They're starting to welcome people back to Tallahassee. And today's guest is someone who is working in the trenches of that industry, knows it as well as anybody that I know. We've got Bo Schmitz from, you probably know him from Tallahassee's Hampton Inn down on the Gaines Street corridor off of Railroad Avenue, but he's overseeing a collection of properties there. We've got a new Hyatt House hotel that's about to open up that's also in Bo's command. And Bo, want to welcome you to the show. Thanks for being with us. Again, you're also the chair of the local Tourist Development Council. And as I was saying, I don't know anybody in the hotel industry who knows as much about what's going on and has their finger on the pulse as you. So thought it would be a good time to bring you on the show and get a sense of how things are going. How have you been?
I'm doing well, Jay. Thanks, first of all, for the invite. Appreciate the time. We're hanging in there. It's been an interesting last couple months, but we're hanging in there.
Well, we're glad to hear it, and again, glad to have you on. I know you're a busy man right now, got a lot going on, so we appreciate your time. But maybe, Bo, to start things off, can you tell us a little bit about you and your journey, your career journey, how you got into hospitality and the hotel industry in particular here in Tallahassee?
Sure. I kind of just fell into the hotel business. Grew up first of all, born on a farm in Iowa. Moved to Michigan when I was very young and spent almost my entire life in Michigan prior to moving here in Tallahassee in 2011. But I'm a sports lover. I was going to be a sports writer. I went to Michigan State. They have an excellent journalism program there at Michigan State. The only college I applied to, got in, and I was going to be the next Mitch Albom. But one day I was assigned to cover the state legislature as just like here in Tallahassee at the state capitol in Lansing, Michigan. And I did not like it. I did not like writing about things that didn't have to do with sports. So quickly decided I better change my major. And my brother, who's 9 years older than me, he was actually in the hotel business at that time. And I just out of default said, well, that sounds good. Let's just go with hospitality. And one thing led to another. That was back in 1993, and 27 years later, here I am. So it's been a good move. I kind of fell into it, but it has treated me well. It's where I met my wife, and worked for a lot of good companies, a lot of good people in my life, mentored some people in my life. So it has been awesome. And in terms of Tallahassee, coming down here in 2011, again, it was one of those situations where it's about who you know. Former mentor, actually the gentleman that introduced Tina and I back in '96, ran into him at a hotel conference, and he said, "Hey, Bo, do you have any interest in relocating to the South?" And one thing led to another, and they had purchased the Round Hotel on Tennessee Street, and that's what brought me here to Tallahassee. Did a complete transformation there and ran that hotel for several years before being poached by the owners of this hotel to come open the Hampton Inn Suites Capitol-University. We opened in 2018. and have done very well. We opened, March 12th of 2018. So March 17th of this year was almost 2 years to the day when we had to lay off a bunch of staff. And that 2 years was the busiest, most successful 2 years of my career. I mean, we really obviously have a great hotel, but we also were fortunate, or we had the advantage of Hurricane Michael, which obviously was a horrible thing for our neighbors to the west, but we benefited from it, and a lot of hotels benefited from it with all the government workers here to help rebuild. So that 2 year period was phenomenal, but now things are different, and we are trying to rebound just like everyone else.
Yeah, as you mentioned, you're overseeing, really two properties in that corridor now. One that's been open for 2 years, and one that's on its way to becoming open. And they're really playing an important part in sort of the rewriting of what the future of that whole Gain Street, Railroad Avenue corridor looks like. Can you kind of paint that picture? Again, anytime you see one company opening up two hotels right next door to each other, that's usually a pretty good sign that something's happening, right? So maybe, can you tell everybody a little bit about that story?
Yeah, we love this little pocket here. I mean, when I first moved here, it's changed so much in under 10 years. And we get guests all the time at the hotel when they walk into the lobby for the first time. They're like, I never even came to this side of the town when I was in college at Florida State, and so this was kind of a scary part of town, there for a few years. So there's been so much rebirth and transformation and revitalization of this area. But it's such a cool, hip area in town, all the art and the entertainment, restaurants. You can pretty much walk anywhere. You can walk to either campus, Florida A&M or Florida State. You can walk up to the Capitol. It's just a great spot to be right in the center of all the action. So our ownership, when they picked out this site for the Hampton Inn Suites, that was what attracted them to the site. And then, when we were doing well, they decided, well, let's look for another site close by. And I think really being at the entry to that Railroad Square Art Park is going to be a really neat thing for the Hyatt House. So we're looking forward to continuing the growth and revitalization of this cool little pocket here in the middle of everything.
Yeah, I know you're spot on. I mean, you can walk to all kinds of stuff. You've got the Greenwise Public Store just around the corner. That's a great place. You've got bars and restaurants, all within easy traveling distance by foot. And obviously Railroad Square, the art park down there is always hustling and bustling. And, there's that little thing called, football season that fingers crossed everything's going to come back online and be ready to welcome guests back in our community soon. Bo, obviously, like we were saying, your industry's been, completely impacted in every way imaginable. Your employees have been impacted. I'm sure, your owners are impacted, just everything. Can you tell us a little bit about, just what your day-to-day has been like the last couple of months, that people can maybe understand, how things are really just going there for you all?
Sure. Well, painting it with an optimist paintbrush, May has been much better than April. So let's start there. But yeah, as soon as the middle of March hit, and it was obvious that business was going to be very low in terms of our occupancy, we were forced to make severe cuts, and we basically had to lay off everybody but the management team. We kept maybe one or two other non-management level members. And it stayed that way all the way through April. So April, I was working the front desk along with the rest of my management team. My AGM was working overnight shifts. So we were doing everything we could to minimize the labor costs just to get through it. But again, like I said, May has been better. I've actually been able to rehire almost half of my original staff. And we fully expect to be able to rehire everyone here shortly in the next few weeks. So we'll see how it all plays out. But, really it's been, really being a hotelier is about, having being committed to finding ways to drive revenue, control expenses, and run that bottom line. And it's like that every day of it's been like that every day of my career, but now it's just a little bit more difficult. But I think that's every good business person is challenged with that, try to drive revenue and control those expenses. So we've had some severe cuts. We've had to get creative with driving revenue, creating packages, maybe going after pieces of business that we wouldn't go after prior to this. So all of those things are definitely on my daily agenda here at the hotel. And then rebuilding the staff, rebuilding the team, and getting things to feel as close to normal as they can. We know that there's no such thing anymore, but at least have that feeling of the team environment, and we're starting to get that. So that's exciting.
You talk about your understanding of the industry as a whole, and your role as your voluntary role, which I'm sure eats up plenty of time at the Tourist Development Council, serving as chair there. You've got rare insights into, again, that whole industry of tourism in our market. And we've been seeing record numbers these past few years. The folks that visit Tallahassee are just doing a tremendous job. Our community is on the lips of people. They're talking about Tallahassee. We're seeing more and more coverage, more and more stories and articles, and all that's just because there's an energy here, and it's great. But obviously, when you have a lot of momentum like that and you get sort of blindsided by a global pandemic, things just can get off the rails pretty quick. But what are you all seeing just, again, throughout the whole community as a hotel industry? And what's that look like right now?
Yeah, so I mean, it's hit all of us. I think it's a two-phased problem with hotels because we lost a ton of occupancy, which obviously is how we make our money. But then to compound that problem, we've all had to lower our rate significantly. And so, I mean, we're running, half the occupancy or more than half, or less than what we normally would do by half. And then when we do sell a room, it's for half the amount of money that we would have sold it pre-COVID. So it's a tough time right now. And, that's not just my hotel, that's every hotel. And we are struggling through it. The occupancy is starting to rebound a little, but it's going to take quite a while for that average daily rate to rebound. It's just a microcosm of the time we're in.
Yeah, no doubt. Bo, can you tell us a little bit, maybe for those who are listening, and I throw around the government acronyms, TDC. I've lived in that world quite a bit. But others might not know what that means or what a Tourist Development Council does. Can you maybe give everybody just a cursory glance at what that world means and what it means for driving business in our community?
Sure. So the TDC is the Tourism Development Council, and it is a division of the Leon County government. And we basically oversee Visit Tallahassee and provide guidance and recommendations for their marketing, their budget. Carrie Post and her team, they just do a phenomenal job at Visit Tallahassee. I have a great relationship with Carrie, and I just think they're doing amazing things at Visit Tallahassee. And it's really impressive to see the adjustments they've made in the last couple of months. I mean, they're basically having to rewrite their entire marketing plan on the fly and adjust it really probably weekly as things start to take some form of shape as we move forward and we move back into people traveling again. So it's exciting to see the leadership and the determination of that team to bring people here to spend their dollars and create med tax, which helps this community in a huge way.
You talk about reinvention. Obviously, every community in the country's grappling with what that means for them right now. And in a place like Tallahassee, we've usually been pretty well insulated from economic downturns because of some things that happen regularly here, like having the state capitol, having our universities. When right now it's typically graduation season. which is a huge boon for local tourism. Didn't get that this year, but football season's coming up. Obviously, that's a thing that you all in the hotel industry set your schedules by, set rates by. It's such an important part of your yearly budget, and although things seem like they're moving towards a football season happening, I think there's still just tons of questions up in the air on that front. How are you all trying to kind of plan for that with so many unknowns on the table still?
Yeah, I mean, so right now, Jay, it's a waiting game. I mean, we're hopeful that, first of all, the students are going to come back. Second of all, there's going to be a football season. Third of all, they're going to allow fans in these stadiums. I mean, obviously none of us know to what capacity or what the scenario will be able to handle health-wise. So, we're hopeful that everybody comes back and there's a season and there's fans and we can actually see some of that benefit. But we have to be fluid. We have to be nimble. But right now we're planning, several different scenarios. A normal scenario, a scenario where maybe it's 50% students or 25% students and football games with no fans. And then worst case scenario of no football games and the students are online still for the next school year. So, I don't want to think about those scenarios too much. I want to be hopeful and optimistic. And I feel like it looks like we're going to have some movement there. But we have to wait. We have to wait, just like and it's not just our hotel. It's the entire market has to wait. I think most hotels have their inventory or did have their inventory open for the football games already. So it's just a matter of waiting it out and to see if there's any adjustments to the schedule, different opponents, which obviously affects the demand. So we'll see.
To that point, you're waiting to perhaps have to pivot. Hopefully you won't have to, but even if it is open, let's say it could be a limited capacity football season, could be limited capacity on campus. We're just going to see some things change. And one question I would have for you is understanding that we might have to sell Tallahassee differently. Like you mentioned, our friends at Visit Tallahassee are doing. What are some ways that you pitch people on Tallahassee? When you've got business that's looking for a place to land, maybe for group travel or for business travel, when you're talking to people, what are the ways in which you try to communicate to folks that Tallahassee is somewhere that they should see and come and spend some time?
Yeah, I think I really think Tallahassee has something for everyone. I mean, if you're a sports lover, got you covered. You love the arts, got you covered. You love the outdoors, got you covered. So really all of those areas, the natural beauty of this community, all the history here, there's unbelievable hiking and biking trails all within this area here. All these beautiful pieces of art that are coming up, including all these murals, one of which our ownership just contributed to. So there's a lot of really cool things to see and do and enjoy while you're here in Tallahassee. For whatever reason you're coming here for, while you're here, you can definitely enjoy yourself in a lot of different capacities.
No doubt. So pivoting a little bit, Bo, so you've got the new hotel coming online, the Hyatt House concept, which is new to the market. Can you tell us a little bit about that product in particular and just what kind of offerings will be able to be available to folks who are coming to Tallahassee?
Sure. Yeah, the Hyatt House is a newer brand, so it'll be the first Hyatt in Tallahassee, and I think the next closest Hyatt House is there's I think 2 in Orlando, and there are 2 in Atlanta. So Hyatt House is Hyatt's version of extended stay, so it's tailored for the traveler that's going to maybe stay 7 to 10 days. Has little kitchenettes in the room types. More conducive to someone actually living in the hotel and staying a longer period of time. So, but I know one thing. I know Hyatt is a high quality brand, high quality company, and I know our ownership makes beautiful hotels. Our Hampton Inn and Suites. We get people all the time that walk in and say, "Wow, this is the nicest Hampton I've ever walked into," and I think people are going to say that when they walk into the Hyatt House as well. They spare no expense, and they build good, solid buildings with great decor and great functionality too. So I think that that's what people are going to see when the Hyatt House opens, and it's going to be in the art park, and the art is going to be interwoven in the hotel. I mean, we've got 6 local artists in the park that are going to have art inside the hotel or on the ground. And then the mural that I just mentioned on the backside of the building adjacent to the Hyatt House that Colette Hardiman just did and unveiled last week, the Greetings from Tallahassee. I mean, it is a beautiful piece of art. And it's an honor to work for people that understand the importance that the community plays in the success of a hotel. I think some hotel owners don't sometimes understand that, and ours do, and it is refreshing.
No doubt. Yeah, that's super cool. I stayed at a place one time in Charleston that had an artist in residence right there in the lobby. It was just the most enjoyable experience. And I love when a hotel really is a part of the fabric of a community and not just sort of a stopover. So that's very cool. When do you all expect the doors to be open on the new Hyatt House, Bo?
We're targeting February of next year. So session will start, early March of next year. So we're trying to make sure we're open before session starts. And we think that timeline is realistic. So obviously things could happen. But right now everything's online to get open by February.
Very cool. And there's a retail component going in next door, right? Haven't I seen that when I've driven by?
There is, and I'm not sure of what type of industries or companies they're going to target going into that retail space, but that is our ownership group and our leasing company that's going to handle that.
Very cool. And there's also some future plans to see Visit Tallahassee move their offices into the neighborhood down to the old railroad depot, correct?
Yep, and I had nothing to do with that, but it will
How convenient for you.
Exactly. It'll be basically sitting between my 2 hotels. So that is a beautiful thing. And I know I'm excited about that. I know Carrie's excited about that. She thinks that's pretty neat as well. So it's going to be neat to see that train depot restored and have that kind of be the heart of tourism here in the center of Tallahassee. Again, goes back to what I said earlier. We just love this little location, this little pocket where there's so much activity, there's so much to do, whichever direction you're going to walk. And I think Visit Tallahassee belongs here, and they're coming, and it's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. Speaking of exciting things in the future, one of the things that I'm starting to do with our podcast guests is trying to really get people thinking about the future. Now, again, this is a good time to dream, and it's a good time to come up with what can excite us about where we go from here. So I'm going to use you as the guinea pig for sort of a new segment at the end of these. But Bo, what excites you the most about the future of Tallahassee right now?
I think we have a great opportunity for continued growth, but yet staying true to who we are. I went on a Nashville trip with the chamber a couple years ago, and I mean, we're not Nashville. I don't know that we want to be Nashville. And there was a lot of comparisons also to Austin. Do we want to be the next Austin? And I don't think we do either. I think we want to be the best Tallahassee we can be. And with this shift, I honestly think it's an opportunity for us to stay true to our roots, to be who we are, but to be even more awesome at it. And for people to come here and say, wow, that place is pretty unexpected, right? That's the campaign that Visit Tallahassee is doing. And it's so apropos. I mean, we are a beautiful community, and you don't really plan on it being that way. And then you get here and you were like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And so our guests say that frequently when they leave. They're blown away by the hospitality, and then all there is to do here. So it's really exciting. And again, I think it's a way for us to continue that growth and move that needle forward, but do it in a way that's authentic and true to who this community is. I know I wasn't born and raised here, but I feel like I understand this community and I love this community. and I want to make this an even better place for all of us to live, work, and play.
I don't think anyone can say it any better than that. Well done. Bo, for those who maybe want to learn more about the properties that you oversee, where can we send them to?
Well, the websites would be the best places. So if you go to hampton.com and just look for Tallahassee Capitol-University, and the Hyatt House is a little early to see the property on there. They won't have it listed quite yet, but hyatthouse.com. And then again, the name of that hotel will be the Hyatt House Tallahassee Capitol-University. So both hotels will have the same name, just a different brand, obviously. But we will be the Capitol-University properties here in town. And appreciate the interest.
Absolutely. Well, Bo, I want to thank you again for coming on the show and spending some time with us to talk about the hotel industry. We appreciate you being a member of the Chamber of Commerce and all that you're doing for our broader community. Your service to the Tourist Development Council is something that should be heralded. We've got a lot of good folks over there doing some great work, and it continues to improve and make a real difference in growing our community and our economy. Every time I see a new hotel opening up, something's working. So we appreciate all that hard work. And folks, if you're again listening in, we appreciate you listening in. And you can help too. You can help our community recover on the tourism front. You can help tell your friends, tell your family, tell those that you know, share positive stories about our community. Help us tell the story of, as Bo would say, a pretty unexpected place to come and travel and spend some time. Right now, as people are looking for ways to maybe get out and stretch their legs and leave home for a little bit after a few months cooped up, Tallahassee's a perfect place to do that. We've got beautiful, great outdoors. We've got history. We've got charm. We've got art. We've got great dining. It is a wonderful place to be. And folks like Bo Schmitz and his team at the two wonderful hotels that he oversees are helping do that every single day. So, Bo, thanks again for being with us. We appreciate you. Thanks for your support of the Chamber. And folks, again, thanks for listening in. As always, you can find this episode and every episode of the Tallahassee Business Podcast at our website at www.talchamber.com. That's talchamber.com. And you can listen on any of your favorite listening devices or streaming services, where we would love for you to subscribe and also leave us a review. If you get a chance, tell your friends about the podcast as well. Thanks again for being with us, folks. We'll look forward to bringing you another great episode next week. Take care.